Hello, everybody. Welcome to the background of the stream today. Today we're doing something a little bit new. We are starting a new series called, tentatively called, KAZ Learns About... Yeah, and the idea of the stream is that we're going to have some people come on here and teach us about something. So if you have any questions or anything related to the topic today, the topic is IT support, both the career and the skills and the experiences around it, and how we can learn from it, not only specifically for technology, but also maybe in dealing or seeing technology and communication and things like that. So hey, Tower Mom, we're doing well. How you doing? Yeah, so
Hey,
the thinking is that we'll likely do this on Wednesdays when seasons are running in their normality. Six and I spend Tuesday doing the story, Wednesday doing Pinnacles, and then later in the week doing other things. So if we're already doing Pinnacles, which are, mostly playlist activities, which are pretty mindless, why not fill it with some conversation? And we have a lot of people in our community from all over the world, all walks of life, and I just thought it would be on that new ink high. Yeah, that's right, you got a new tattoo. Congrats. Probably get put your arm in wrap it in packing tape and not move it or touch it for 24 hours.
A little bit more to it than that. You gotta keep it out of direct sunlight for 30 days so it doesn't bleed out and doesn't fade your colour. They're always fun.
Yeah, sorry about that. I just had to mute for a moment. Pretty busy over here, so we're kind of dealing with a few things at once. Hey, Vala, how are you? Yeah, so the idea is we're thinking we're going to set up Wednesday as a day that we can go through this. We can, we could talk about random things, and the idea is that we'll bring in somebody who wants to talk about different topics. So if you're interested, if you have a passion or an interest, something that you feel confident that you can, lead a conversation on, answer questions on, and if you're comfortable with it, then you could sign up. If you want to sign up, you got to be in the Discord, go to the KAZ PhD news channel, go to the pinned messages, and there is a link there. We're currently thinking Wednesdays at our normal time. And again, you don't have to be an expert in it. I think I'm going to tell a funny story about my fiance being an expert on something.
Sure.
She doesn't know what I'm talking about, but she's giving me permission. So here we go. Earlier, I joked with her. I said, oh, maybe you'd like to do an episode on metal, like the genre of music, because, she's a big fan. And she's like, I don't know if I'm, really an expert on that. And I'm like, half of our living room is filled with albums. You've been to more metal concerts than most people have been to concerts, and you literally wrote your master's thesis on the cover art of albums, many of them being metal. So I think you're fine. But again, it's not about being an expert. It's about being knowledgeable and passionate about it, willing to answer questions, but also maybe ask some of your own as well. So without further ado, we're going to jump into some playlist activities. Today, the first in the series, by the way, it is Solar for Strikes. We're going to jump into. First in the series is 6 Foot Dwarf, and we're going to be talking about IT support. So, Six, welcome. Long time. How you doing?
I'm alright.
Yeah.
Very good.
Good. I forgot to pull that grenade launcher, darn it. So, I guess I'm going to go through some stuff. Some of the earlier questions will be a bit predictable but formal, and then we'll get into discussing certain things. So I guess first question.
How many people have you killed?
Okay, that is not the first question, Juliet. I don't even know if they can hear you, but anyway. No, first question is what's your official job title?
Now you're asking. Infrastructure and network engineer.
Nice. All right. And how long have you been doing that?
This current role, a little over a year. For IT support as a profession, since I was 30, 16 years.
Wow. How did you get into that?
I got into it at 16. I moved out of my parents' house and I moved into my friend's house, and his dad liked computers, and I was forever pestering him with questions. And very inquisitive. I always wanted to know what they were doing. He had friends who were sort of into it, and I came in one day to find a PC and parts on my bed, and he told me if I could put it together myself, he would show me whatever I wanted to know. So that night I built my first PC, and then he showed me how you put the operating system and everything together and the drivers, and I never really stopped.
Trial by fire, huh?
Yeah, it's one of those things. Logic is very prevalent in IT, and I like that works with my brain.
Mm-hmm.
So it's you know, it's that sort of zen for me. I can spend, as Lynn can testify to, I can sit in front of a computer that's not working all day until it works.
Now
there's always something else I want to do.
We got an early question from Juliet. Do you play Destiny on Xbox to get away from work?
Yes. Early on, I used to play on laptops all the time, but then it's very hard to distinguish downtime from work time. If all you do is sit on a PC, then you never quite relax properly, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So at one point, and this demonstrates it, when you get Windows and it comes with a license key, that license key only has a limited number of reinstalls before you have to start ringing a number, typing in a code and getting a code to prove that it's a valid version of Windows. With Windows 7, that was 16. And I ran through 16 installs in just under 4 months. Because I would download something to see what it would do and help people and replicate problems, and then just reset my entire PC. But what it meant was all I ever did was fix computers. So a console was kind of like, that's how I switch off. I play games on a console and I relax with that.
Do you ever get frustrated though, where like something doesn't work on the console, but you can't fix it because it's not really your tech, not really your department?
No, I'm kind of lucky because I've got the mindset to fix it, and because I come from that background. It's one of those things. I think I'm used to things not working and not wanting to work. So somewhere down the line there is a fix. What gets frustrating is because I know so many people around the world who have problems. One of the hardest things to do is help someone when you can't physically see what they see. And that's the bit that's frustrating, because I think I could probably help if I could just get on there and see what they're looking at.
Yeah.
Because a lot of IT support, you were kind of like, it makes sense when you see it rather than when somebody explains it.
Yeah, of course. Because I mean, unless they're really speaking your language, you might not see it the way that they're seeing it by how they explain it. Right?
And they're not looking for the same thing. They no matter what, they're not going to be looking for the same things I'm looking for. And it comes from just the technical sort of, it's that technical background that I've got in it. It's like if you were doing something with satellites and I try to explain it, I'm not going to be able to look at the things you're looking at.
Yeah.
So if I was describing it, you're going to be like, I kind of get what he means, but if he doesn't, does he mean this or does he mean that? I get a lot of that. It's very frustrating, but it's never aimed at a person. It's more aimed at the fact that at the moment I can't really remote support an Xbox or a PlayStation.
Right. Quick question for the chat. How's the audio balance? We got a lot of explosions happening here in Destiny. You can hear 6 okay? Let me know. If I have to make any adjustments, I will. Well, to be honest, it's when we're chatting on party chat, I can't separate the game from you. So both are loud. If we have a problem there, yeah, we'll see what the chat says. If we have to, we will. You can hear it's okay, guys. The balance is good. Yeah, we answered that question earlier, Dork. Basically, one of the reasons that both Six and I play on console is that we game volume could go down a tad. Oh.
Yeah.
Are you able?
The reason we play on console, Dog, is because we spend 8 hours of our working day, if not more, on a PC.
Yeah.
So when you come home, if you look at a PC, your brain won't switch off properly.
How about after the Strike 6, we switch over to Discord?
Yeah.
All right, we'll do that after. Yeah, I know how to fix it, Dork. It's just it's too it's too annoying to do this way. It's just easier to just switch to Discord, which we will after, and we'll probably do that in future episodes. That's fine. Yeah, so you know, sounds like you said, you had a bit of a trial by fire with it. But what about school? I got to tell you, my IT like lessons in school left a lot to be desired. It was not great, but I'm sure that's changed a lot now. I know that because like my school didn't take it seriously, and now like you know elementary school kids are coding in HTML. So
pretty much the same. IT for me was done on a BBC master, and it was how to use word processors, spreadsheets, not really the technical side of it. And I've got no academic. I haven't got any academic. I haven't got a single academic qualification in IT. I have industry qualifications in IT. And there's merits to having both. There's merits to having one over the other. And it's just if you start working in it before you've gone to school in it, the chances are you're probably not going to go there. You're not really going to go to school and learn a degree, because the stuff that you can learn in work and the qualifications you get in work are just going to equate to the same thing. There's no extra, there's nothing getting a degree in IT would give me other than some letters after my name.
Right, so
I've already got the relevant experience for it.
Well, that's interesting, actually. I mean, yeah, a lot of people, like, in a lot of fields, if you don't have a degree, you won't get a job. Like, it's just, you know. So it sounds like, though, with IT support, at least, experience is maybe higher valued than other, you know, like, the actual working experience seems to be higher valued in IT than in, you know, certain other fields, I guess.
Yeah. So IT is one of those weird little industries where just because you've got a degree doesn't mean you can do it.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is there's a lot of theory to learning IT support. But being able to transfer that into doing a particular role in IT is not always as easy as people think. because a degree covers a huge, like, it tries to cover huge sections of IT.
Right.
And the thing is, when you start working in it, it's a very niche. Everybody in IT is working towards less knowledge, like less.
Yeah.
As it was explained to me, you want less breadth and more depth.
Right. Yeah, it makes sense.
so-
You don't need somebody who can like hop across 7 different systems. You need the server guy, the you
Yeah.
know, the
So-
gal who knows everything about, I don't know, encryption or whatever.
I've worked with people who can build you an entire network from the ground up, can code it, can do all of it. But you ask them to go into AD and set up a policy group, and they're like, I don't know. I can't do that. That's not what I do.
Interesting.
We had somebody, and he used to keep locking his account out. We used to work with him, and he would come and ask us to reset his password and unlock it, because he didn't know how to unlock his account without having to reset the password.
Oh man.
This is a guy that quite literally ran one of the main systems that we used, which was hyper complex. Like,
Yeah,
he had degrees. He
I
knew
have
that.
a
And
funny.
it's that
I can
weird-
I can relate to that. Hold on. All right. Can we switch over to Discord? Is that all right with you?
Yes, we can.
All right. I will see you over there. All right.
Yeah, man.
Okay. Make some adjustments to your chat. There we go. Yeah, when I'm on Discord, I can set Discord and in-game volume differently. So, while 6 is connecting, yeah, I'll say that experience of like niche versus broad, I encountered that as well in engineering. I mean, there's so many different types of engineering, right? Mechanical, aerospace, space, computer, like computer science and engineering. And the problem is that like, and you know, being an engineer is a lot like being a doctor, is a lot like being a lawyer, is probably a lot like being an IT technician and engineer, where if someone hears the term, they just expect you to be able to do anything in that in that, you know. It's like, oh, I need a doctor. I'm a doctor. It's like, okay, great. Can you do a tracheotomy? It's like, no, I'm a pediatrician, or I'm a podiatrist, or you know. Hey, there. You can hear me now.
I can, mate, I can.
Okay.
Yeah, I get that a lot. This thing's got a microchip in, so you can clearly fix it, can't you? Yeah, but it's a toaster. And what do you want me to do, you know?
Got a little bit of an echo
in answer
from
to
you.
your
It's-
question, Doug.
It's not a big deal,
Sorry,
but it.
Doug.
Yeah, go ahead.
Sorry, Doug asked the question, and yeah, you can go really far in IT support without a degree. It's not essential. Knowledge is key. Knowledge and your ability to work under pressure and learning how to manage people and expectations.
So then, you know, besides having people who place yet to be fixed computers on your bed, how do you get experience here? How do you get the knowledge or experience that you need if you don't get a degree? I mean, as someone who spent way too long in school, how do you get experience?
So the very entry level, one of the most, well, the entry level job in any IT department is the first line service desk. And that itself falls into 2 categories. There will be a technical service desk and a non-technical service desk. And the non-technical one, you log tickets. You take the customer's information and you pass the information, you put it into a ticket, and that ticket goes into a system and gets assigned to somebody who can fix it. You don't need to do anything at all technical. And then what will happen is, as part of your training, you will get taught how to do the basics, which will then let you move on to a technical desk. Some non-technical desks will have hotkeys pre-mapped out that will let you reset a password. Now, you won't know how it does it, but you'll be able to press the button that goes, make this person's password reset. And in IT, like, time served is a thing. If you put in the work, then you can progress. So you can go in on a non-technical desk, work you into a technical first line job, and then that will be on a technical first line desk, you're still doing the same thing. You still log tickets, you still sort of take all the details, but you'll have 10 to 20 minutes to try and fix the call yourself. And if you fix it, you fix it, and if you don't, you can pass it over. And again, the reward for doing that is that you get taught how to do the next step up, which is what I used to do, which is called desktop support, and that is basically where you learn to fix anything that a person sits in front of: laptop, computer, dumb terminal, printers, and you will be expected to fix any problem they've got on there within the realms of what is supported. So like, if somebody uses Sage, I'm not expected to fix Sage because I'm not trained on that software. You need full training to run that software. So, but like, if you rang up and went, my Outlook's not working, my job is to make it work.
When you get a printer problem, do you just start praying, or tell them to throw it out, or burn it in fire, or what? That's what I imagine training for printer support is.
Most IT companies and most internal IT desks only provide limited support of printers, purely because those printers have you need training to be able to do everything on a printer. So, but within reason, you would be expected to be able to install a printer, troubleshoot why it's not printing, set up wireless printing, scan to emails, scan to folders. So anything like that where the PC is going to be involved, you're going to still be expected to do. And there's always an element of a best endeavor, which is you do your best until the point that you can't do it, and then it'll get passed up. Depending on how the company is set up, the desktop team will sometimes be just one team, or it'll be split into two tiers, and you'll get the normal analysts, and then you'll get the seniors who can do even more. And then the next step from there is to move into the network team, which is sort of working on servers, so setting up policies and actually putting in the hardware that's going to be used and keeping it running. That's where you start to deal with if Outlook's not working for the whole company and it's an Exchange server, that's where you move in. And again, some teams will do the same thing. You'll have the standard engineers and then the seniors, and then kind of after that that's when you're starting to move into like the app support realm. That's where you start to become really specialized and move up into, I'm really, really good at these key things, and this is where if you're stuck, you come to me. And my company does it a little bit differently, and I do all of those roles for our customers. So I answer the phones along with the rest of my team. I also do the desktop stuff. I do the server stuff. To a degree, we do the app support stuff. And if I get stuck, if I can't fix it, and somebody in the company can fix it, that person comes and sits and works with me and shows me how to fix it, so that next time I can fix it. So my company is a bit different because most IT teams do not work that way. They all use the tiered structure. But that's also the reason why I'm having the current nightmare with our staff levels being down, because my place only hires very particular people. So they're very fussy on who they bring in. But yeah, it's one of the few places where you can learn how to do the stuff without. You can learn how to do something and still not know how it works. And in IT, and that will get you part of the way. And what happens after that is eventually you get shown, well, that thing that you do, this is why you do it this way instead of that way.
Right, so you kind of learn like how to fix it, and then later you learn how it works in case you need to fix like a non-traditional problem, I guess. Yeah. So I'm still learning servers. I've never really done servers before, and on some of the stuff we have to delete log files. Like you have to clear space off the servers.
and you get what's called an Exchange server, which is the servers that run your emails if you're not using like Office 365 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And on their servers, you get log files. Now, you cannot delete those files. They cannot be deleted. It will break the Exchange server. I know this. I don't know why it does it. It's one of the things I'm doing on some training. But I learned really quickly, like, right, I can't delete those files, but I still, and that's the thing, like, I can still do the job. I just don't know why I can't do it. And you can get away with that in IT. And the thing with IT support is, no matter how clever you think you are, you don't know everything. You literally, it's not possible. And there will be somebody who can do something you can't do. Mm-hmm. It is an industry where if you're arrogant enough to sit there and go, I'm the greatest, I'm the best, you are going to struggle to progress. Because the team is everything. It's a very team-orientated industry. Because most of the things that you do, most of the targets you have to hit while there's personal development, nearly everything you do is team-based. So if you don't pull your weight, then your teammates are not going to be happy, and you are going to struggle. You're going to struggle to progress. You're going to struggle to get pay rises. You're going to struggle to be taken serious by people because they're just going to go, "What's the point?" So it's a very team-orientated industry. Communication is a really, really big thing, both in the team and from a customer-focused point of view. We were a little bit different because in most things where you have a customer, the customer is always right. Mm-hmm. In IT support, the customer is not always right. In fact, most of the time, the customer is wrong. It's just if they weren't wrong, they wouldn't be ringing us.
Yeah, they would fix it themselves, right?
Yeah, it's that sort of a thing, and it's like, well, I always do this. Well, you don't, because otherwise it wouldn't work, and we know it wouldn't work. Some of the classics will remote onto someone's PC, and you'll say, look, can you just restart the computer for us? And they'll go, yeah, I've done it. I've restarted it. It's still doing the thing. It's like, do you want to try restarting it again? Because I'm pretty certain that didn't work. And they're like, no, I've just done it. Look, it's powered down. It's like, yeah, but I'm still connected. And if I'm still connected, it hasn't powered down. And it's that sort of, it's trying to get them to understand, like, I know you don't want to restart your machine because it might take a while, but tough, do it anyway, or I can do it for you. And the other classic one is you'll say restart the machine when they think they're restarting the machine, and what they're actually doing is just turning the monitor off. That happens an awful lot. You'd be surprised how often that happens.
Yeah, I'm sure if you were doing console support, you'd run into I've turned the console off. No, yeah. You put it in rest mode.
Yeah. And part of the skill of my job, part of what makes a good analyst and a good engineer, is at that point where they're turning the monitor off, not the computer, is being able to explain that to them without insulting them, without making them feel small, without making them feel foolish. Mm-hmm. And it's an important skill to learn. In IT, communication is a really, really big thing. It's kind of understanding what you say and how you say it and how it will impact someone. Sorry, Dan, was that something?
Yeah, I just said that he had to do some IT during a short apprenticeship, mostly internal tasks.
Yeah, it's weird. Like most industries, customer service is key. Customer is always right. It's a fairly standard thing. When I worked for the NHS, the NHS is very big on customer service, and we did a customer service course where I got told off by the person doing the course because I was being direct, I was being assertive, and I was asking closed questions. These are all things that you were told not to do in customer service. My manager, who was in the same course as me, had to explain to them that that's my job to do it. And the reason I failed is they make you do a test in customer service. And what you do is somebody gets given a picture, somebody else gets given a piece of paper and a pen, and you've got to figure out what the picture is. They can't show you. You can only ask questions.
Hmm.
So everybody asks lots of open-ended questions. The problem with an open-ended question is it is open to interpretation.
Right.
Is there a shape on the page? Yeah. Great. What does it look like? Well, it's kind of like, it's not quite a circle, but it is a circle, but it's not a circle. Like,
yeah. Specificity,
what do you do with
right?
that? Whereas a closed question, and a closed question has a yes or no answer. Is it a square? No. Is it a circle? No. Is it oval? Yes.
Yeah. Can a child draw it? Is it technology? Is it an animal?
Yeah. And it's a big part of my job is that sort of let somebody speak, but at some point they're gonna. Cause we always let people speak and explain to us what their problem is. Mm-hmm. But a lot of the information you give, and I don't mean to be horrible to anyone that's writing this, most of the information you give us, we don't care about. It's your interpretation and it's fine, but it's not the bit we need to go, that's what's wrong. What we're looking for is the symptoms that we can then start to go, if you do this, does this happen? Yes or no? Like, you've got an error message. Have you got a copy of the error message? No. Can you replicate it so I can get the error message? Yes. And it's the art is to not make people feel stupid. And I've been accused of this, and I love this because I think it's one of the best things I've ever been told about myself, is I use, and I like this because I think it's the most stupidest thing to ever say to someone, but I've been told that I use a lot of you idiot statements, and that's not good for customer service. A you idiot statement is a statement where you could add you idiot to the end of it. You've forgotten your password, you idiot. My argument to them, my counter argument was, give me an example where you can't add you idiot to the end of it.
Right.
Like, you forgot your code again, you idiot. You meant to get tea, you idiot. Like, you can, it's the most randomest thing in the world. Like, it's impossible to say anything without somebody potentially going, that's offensive. Mm-hmm. It's bizarre, but the reality is, you can say to someone, you've forgotten your password, and you hear, you forgot your password. And immediately, you all know that was me taking the mick. That was me thinking that's funny. Don't do that, people. Passwords are hard to remember. You got to remember a lot. But going, so is your password not working? That's all right. I'll have a look. It's probably got locked. I know it's not locked. I know they forgot the password, but now they don't feel stupid.
Yeah, I call that giving them an exit window.
Yeah.
Because sometimes people just need they need like, well, to save face, as we say, to save reputation. You need a way out of that problem, without necessarily leaning on the idea that it's like their fault or a lack in their, a lack of their capabilities or knowledge, right?
Yeah, I get it all the time. People will be like, I bet you must think I'm stupid. No, I just think you don't know as much about computers as me.
Yeah,
which is fine.
Which is good.
I can't do what you do. I can't do what you do for a living.
Keeps me in business.
My default answer to people when they say that is always the same. It's you learn as much IT as you need to know for the job that you do. Yeah. And my job just requires a lot more knowledge of IT. That's all. It's not that you're foolish. It's not that you're stupid. It's not that you can't learn it. It's just you've got no need to. You've got your own job to do. And that's I've worked with people who are terrible at it, and I work with people who delight. I've worked with people who delight in the superiority they think they get because they can work in IT. And I delight in bringing them back down a peg or two. Because if you're going to be horrible to someone just because they can't do our job, I'm going to remind you what would happen if everyone could do our job. We'd be out of jobs, you know what I mean? It's like, everyone can do what I can do, then companies don't need me. So it's it's a funny thing, the communication, but it helps you learn the importance of what you're seeing and how you're seeing it.
Do you are you dealing with people often? Like, how much of your day do you think is split between people versus tech?
It's well, I mean, tech is 100% of your day anyway. Like, you're always using tech.
Right, but I mean, like, a difference between, like, you're trying to interpret problems and communicate them versus, okay, let me just leave this with me and I'll fix it. And...
In my last role, it was probably 60-40 because I was remote based. In this job, it will alternate. Sometimes it's 50-50, sometimes it's 60-40 tech to thing. But I manage a site now, so I deal with customers on site. So if there's a problem on site, I'm the person that you go to, on top of my normal workload. So I often get a lot more interaction, and I work with the staff on site who run the site. So basically, they hire my company to provide IT support for their business centers, and so I work with them a lot. So I have a lot more interaction with people, and that's one of the other things you've got to learn is the face-to-face side of it. A large part of my job is the ability to sound like you know what you're doing when you have no idea what you're doing. Because confidence is key.
Mm-hmm.
If I was to go to you, well, yeah, I mean, I need to restart it, and I think it's going to be all right, but I'm not sure, but I'll give it a go because I think that's what's wrong with it. Are you really going to let me switch your server off? Or are you going to think, he's not exactly, he's not thrilling me with confidence here. But if I come in and go, yeah, the problem is that the drivers haven't finished their update, I just need to restart the server and it'll be fine. That makes you think, he knows what he's talking about.
Mm-hmm.
The reality is, it's the same outcome. I think it's going to work. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm gonna find out. I'm gonna find out if it works when I reach the end.
Yeah.
But I go in there with bravado and go, oh yeah, this is the thing. People are then going to go, oh yeah, he does look like he knows what he's doing, like. And it's a skill that's transferable for anywhere. There's a skill set that comes from being able to sound confident, even when you have no idea what you're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Because people are more calm and more relaxed if they think there's someone confident. So language is really, really big in IT. People don't realize how much it is because everyone assumes we just fix stuff, but there is more to it. Customers have got to think that if customer doesn't trust you, then they're not going to want to work with you. And that's when life gets difficult. When you don't want to do what I'm asking you to do because you don't trust me, I'm going to have a problem.
We got some questions from the chat. Viewer says, do you have contracted work, like specific third-party company or client who can only ask you for support due to a deal made, and vice versa?
So, I've worked for internal IT companies before, but now I'm currently working for a managed service provider, so you pay us to run your IT.
Mm-hmm.
So what basically happens is you pay us, we come in to whatever degree you need us, we will work with your internal IT if you've got them. But yeah, we're like a third party, but we install monitoring software onto your PCs so that we can control the updates for you. We take over updates. That's how I connect to PCs. So for one of our customers, I can pull up all the details of what's installed on their PCs, where the drivers are at, what the hardware is, and never need to connect to it because our software will tell me it all. So Yeah, it's kind of, it depends which one you do. If you work internal, then usually you only support the people in your company.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I support whichever company pays my company the money to do so. And we will work with third parties if they need us to. What often happens is you'll get a call that needs a third party needs something, and then the company that we support needs to authorize them to be allowed to ring us, and then we work with that third party because it's easier. So we do that a lot. We'll have a third party group that manages software, and we control their access to the machines for them. As in, it's like an extra added level of security. They can't just get on whenever they want because we'll control the account that does it.
Yeah, that is interesting. Well, I guess, are there aspects of the job that are either universally not favored or just something that you personally just really don't like? Like, I don't know, I suck at server stuff, or doing this is a pain. Any IT person will tell you that.
The pain for all IT people is we hate admin. There's a reason we fix things for a living, and it's because we don't like doing admin.
Admin being...
That's the truth of it. I don't like writing. I don't like having to write notes, but we've got to do it. I don't want to have to create lots of... So the thing is, you log your ticket, you write notes. We generally, we want to be as quick as we can so we can fix things, because that's what we're mostly interested in. So
Right.
I love the bit where I'm fixing computers, and I love the bit where I'm talking to everybody. And while I'm very good at writing notes, I hate the bit where I then have to sit and write everything up. Because it's just...
Yet, you've
It's the
probably been
worst,
on the
yeah.
opposite end of that, where the last gal who was writing the ticket didn't do a good job, and now you're reading it, and you're like, what? What did they do? What?
Yeah. So we all have the same bugbear. We all hate taking notes, but we all hate people who write bad notes. Like, I hate writing notes, but I can also write War and Peace about what I've done.
Mm-hmm.
But I have seen tickets where the only notes you get are PC not working, PC fixed. Like, champion. Do you wanna explain to me what was broken in the first place?
No.
And you get that a lot. It's the way some techies are. And the reality is, that's great when you're trying to fix things quickly. It's terrible when 6 months down the line when someone goes, oh, so-and-so fixed it in this ticket, and then you're like, what the hell did they do? What was the problem?
Yeah.
It's like pretty much most technicians despise that part of the job.
I'm going to write a note that just says, PC broken, PC fixed, I'm the best.
I literally, I saw a note from someone the other week, and it basically went, sorted. That was it.
Not even a record of the problem.
Yeah. User rang up, PC not working. Like, the user didn't have a clue. They just put basic notes, which is fair enough. They're a user. But then the technician literally just wrote sorted, and it's like, awesome. What sorted?
It's also funny
Yeah.
because you can tell that it's like a UK person doing that, because a North American would not write that a problem was sorted. In North America, sorted means organized.
Yeah, no, in this case it just means it's fixed, but...
Yeah, I mean, we might say it's all sorted out, but it's just interesting, I could imagine an international tech company might run into problems even amongst their English-speaking, like, IT professionals.
Yeah, I mean, I've worked for a company that had follow-the-sun support. That's interesting. Follow-the-sun support, and support is an absolute nightmare.
Man, this guy, like, I gotta remember that that Alec Cool he doesn't wield an axe. He wields a bus on a pole. Like, he's hitting me.
Yeah.
He's hitting me when he really shouldn't be. Wild.
He is decimated. Oh, man. He just seems to slam me no matter where he is. Quite frankly, I'm getting sick of him.
Yeah.
Yeah. follow the sun support is one of the worst things I ever did, because the problem you've got then is the support company ticket, if it runs across timelines, you're then dealing with other cultures' ways of writing. And it's no disrespect to anybody, it's just a generalized, the English people write a certain way, Japanese people write a certain way, and it's based on culture, and you spend half your time going, now does that mean that, or does that mean this? So I've never done it again because I did not enjoy it at all. It just adds a degree of difficulty that slows me down from doing the things I like doing. And the things I like doing is fixing computers and helping people. That's the favorite part of my job. Is I really like to fix computers, and I like being able to help people. So if I can make somebody's day a little bit easier, that's a good thing. Like for any of us, if you can make someone's day even the slightest bit easier, that is not a bad thing.
Yeah.
So
100%.
I can do that by even if it is just fixing somebody's Outlook. That for some people that is cornerstone to them doing their job. If they can't use Outlook, they can't work.
Yeah.
So it's for me, the job's rewarding, but it's rewarding because I love it, and it really is a job where if you don't like it, you are gonna hate doing it. There's no oh well, I do IT because I couldn't really be bothered to do anything else. You either like it or you despise it, because it's high pressure, it's demanding. You're always, by the time somebody rings you, they're always unhappy because something's not working. It's just, it is what it is. It's not their fault. It doesn't work, and you're gonna get shouted at because of it.
Yeah.
But it gets really rewarding because eventually people get used to you, and then they'll ring and they'll speak to you, and you can hear the fact that they're genuinely happy that you've answered the phone. And that's when the job's really rewarding. You're like, yeah, all right, cool, I like this.
Do you have kind of repeat relationships with
Yeah. There's a guy who works for a company, and I didn't actually know he was one of the directors. And we chat for ages. And whenever he rings and he gets through to me or he gets through to one of my colleagues, there's a particular colleague. If he gets through to us when he's ringing up about the problem, whoever he's ringing up for, because he'll ring and raise the ticket, and then hand us over to them. And he always, as he does it, you always hear him go, "Oh yeah, it's Tony. Don't worry. He always fixes it." And you're like, "That's really cool, dude. But one of these days, I ain't gonna be able to fix it." But even when you can't fix it, he's like, he doesn't care because he knows you've done everything you can to fix it. And he's like, "No, it's fine. I'm sure if you can't do it, it's not easy." And like, that's really cool because that's when you know your work's appreciated. It's always nice when somebody looks forward to speaking to you. The only downside is he'll chat to me for 20 minutes before we even get to the problem. Which is both good and bad at the same time.
Right, yeah, you're getting like glowing reviews, but your efficiency is like way off.
TrueStack, where I work, is the first company where they don't measure our efficiency in that way. Normally you are measured by how much time did you spend on the phone, how much time did you spend off the phone, what did you accomplish in that window. But
that makes sense.
But where I'm at now, a big part of the job is our customers happy, and they understand that some customers want to talk to you. Some customers want to talk, and they'll ring IT to do it, so they're good with it. I get that a lot from. You get that a lot when you work in the NHS. A lot of the nurses just want to be able to vent to somebody. So they'll just ring IT and then sit and tell you about their day. And at the end of it, they then put the phone down. I had a doctor do it. I had a doctor do it. He despised IT. He always gave everybody bad reviews. And I spoke to him once, and the director of my department came and basically he came out and said, well done, and I didn't have a clue what he was talking about. And the doctor gave us a review. But it was a glowing review because he ranted and raved and shouted at me for 30 minutes. And I'd fixed his problem 5 minutes into the call. But it was obvious he just, he needed to get it off his chest. So he ranted, and then when he'd finally finished his rant, he went, well, are you going to fix it? And I was like, oh, it's fixed, mate. I fixed it ages, like 25 minutes ago. He's like, well, why did you just sit there and let me shout? And it's like, well, makes you feel better, doesn't it? At the end of the day, you don't have to worry about it now. Stress is gone. So I got a glowing review, and I always got good feedback from him. And that's the skill of the job, is understanding that sometimes it's better to just let someone have their little shout and then move past it, and then you can get what you need to do done.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Well, I've had some interesting calls. Some very weird calls, but I've had some interesting calls. My very first professional job was working for a big company, 15 service desks, 10 strong in one building. Each one had 10 in, then they had another building with another 10. So like 150 of us on the phone all the time, and it was an entry-level job. It got me foot in the door. It proved I could do what I said I could do. And then I moved to the NHS, did me a little bit of training and got used to their systems. Because one of the things when you do IT that you've got to get used to is the fact that you've got to learn how everybody else does their thing. So did that, and then it was only like my second or third call. And doctor rings up and he's like, yeah, the monitor stopped working, and trying to sort it out, figure out what's going on. And one of the problems we have that people don't always realize is if you ring IT support and go, I can't see anything on my monitor, and I remote to your computer, I am going to see everything normally, because the remote session doesn't care that your monitor's not working. The remote session goes, your monitor's working, you can see everything because it's all working. So he's looking at a blank screen, and I've connected to the computer and said, all right, well, I can get an engineer out, but I'm not sure how long it's going to be. And then the doctor went, no, you misunderstand. You're going to fix it, and you're going to fix it now, because you've got to. And I was like, oh, great, here we can. Strop me, doctor. And he went, this is the situation. And he very calmly explained this, like, huge respect for a doctor. For doctors, I honestly do. I have massive respect for them. He very calmly explained to me how there was a camera currently inserted in a patient, and the monitor that the camera went to was not working, and he needed to perform some microsurgery.
And you can't exactly, unplug it and plug it back in, right?
Yeah, because normally in that situation, what happens is we send one of the desktop guys who then has to get in scrubs and get washed up, and they have to fix it while they're in the room and the patient's on the table, cut open. Like
that is both cool and horrifying.
Yeah, I never had to go in, thankfully. I missed all of it. But yeah, so that was like my second or third call. There's a guy laid on a hospital bed with a camera in him, and the doctor patiently going, you need to fix this right now. You don't have time to wait for an engineer. And we did fix it. We the panic set in, and I stumbled a little bit, and then I got the hang of it, and just sort of relied on what I knew. The lead, the screws on the lead weren't holding, and the way the monitor was angled with the cables, it was falling out all the time.
Okay.
This is when it was old VGA leads, the big blue ends on the monitor cables. So in the end, what he did is he got a bandage and he tied it around the lead, and he fed it over the stand that the monitor was mounted to, and then tied it up so that it couldn't fall out, so he could finish the operation. And then the network guys went and swapped it all out for him properly. But that was like my third ever call in a hospital was a patient on a bed. And that was interesting. But it also kind of helped me realize that there's no point panicking. You might as well just get it done.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just, all I can imagine is like, I'm just imagining someone like normal tech bro clothes, you know, like tapping somebody's hip, you know, you smack the side of a monitor and it starts working again. Yeah, there you go. There's your problem. Walking out.
Hospitals are awesome, but very scary places to work.
Yeah, for sure. You want to do some Gambit?
Yeah, go for it, man.
Alright. Yeah, I mean, hospitals are generally stressful enough, let alone when you're dealing with trying to fix a tech problem, and let alone when that tech problem is in surgery, right? It's like, oh, well, the patient's sleeping and their monitor isn't working. Okay, whatever. But no, there's a camera in this person. Fix it.
Yeah, one of the desktop lads it had happened to him multiple times, where he's had to go into a theater and he's busy trying to fix stuff, and while he's trying to fix the computer, they are literally operating.
Jeez.
And he has to work around them, and he's like, yeah, man, they're sitting in there lifting bits of people out, and you're trying your best not to vomit because you're like, oh my god, that is the grossest.
Oh man.
Like, it's in real life, it's not like it looks like on the telly.
Oh yeah.
That's what he said to me. He went, in real life, it does not look, nor does it smell. Like the telly does nothing to transmit the smell. A human body.
I'm glad we're having this conversation after I had my recent surgery, because like that'd be pretty brutal.
There are positives to it. I used to have to go to some of the sites, and what happens is you go in and the nurses get to know you, and so they ring up and you rock up, and then there's a cup of tea and biscuits for you, and you're not allowed to leave till you've had your cup of tea. So like, it's also very like they're very much a big family as well. It's quite funny, and you get all these people who are like, the doctors, the specialist is not happy. And it's his secretary kicking off, and then you speak to specialists, and they couldn't care less. They really couldn't. They've got more important stuff to do. They're genuinely not bothered in the slightest. They're just getting it done. It's
random question: are doctors decent at describing tech problems, or are they just as like, you know, let's say
just as bad as everybody else?
Just as bad as everybody else? Yeah. I just was wondering, because like sometimes with certain people, you have like just an approach to information, right? Like that.
Yeah. I've had doctors literally say, "I wish I could do what you could do," and you're looking at them like, "Are you for real?"
Hey, you just saved that man's life, but you know, whatever.
Yeah, no offense, Doc, but if I get it wrong, I rebuild the PC. If you get it wrong, somebody dies.
We can rebuild him. No, see, there you go. You need to work on a $6 million man.
It's
bionic woman.
It's one of my favorite, like, weird things about IT is the perceived perception of anyone who doesn't work in IT support about how like mystical what we do is. And it really isn't.
I must consult the sages. Yeah.
It's mostly logic. Sat there going, right, if this doesn't do this, it's probably going to do that. And it's learning that, you know what I mean? It's one of the lads I used to work with was trying to get into the second line role, which he eventually got, which was very cool. But he was asking what, like, you know, what is it that makes second line people so, like, better than first line? And the truth is, and it really is, the truth is, a first line person looks at a problem and goes, I think that might work, but I won't do it because I'm not sure. And a second line person goes, I think that'll work. Yeah, what's the worst that's going to happen? That's it.
Yeah, a little bit more experience, right?
Yeah, the more experience you get, the more you understand. If it breaks, I'm just going to rebuild it. Who cares? Like, it's the comfort of experience that lets you go, yeah, I'll try that. The worst that's going to happen is it's going to break. I can fix it. And as you get up higher and higher, like, it gets worse. Like, that sense of confidence of, well, I can definitely fix it. It might take a while, but it's definitely going to get fixed. Really can, like, it really gets out of control sometimes. Because you can do so much, you're like, yeah, no, it's nothing. And it's like, no, it probably is. I should probably not do it. You
Yeah, I guess
have to get stuff beat check.
I guess it's a common peril of knowledge and experience. You start getting, I mean, arrogant and cocky are not quite right, but maybe just comfortable with the challenges that you normally will face, right?
Yeah, it's not so much that you get cocky. It's there is a sense of security that knowledge and experience bring you, but experience more than knowledge.
Right.
Because you can have all the knowledge in the world, but until you put it to use, it's just sitting there. It's not that, you know what I mean? Like, it's just a thing that you know. And this is why in IT, you can still progress in IT just as far as someone with a degree, without ever going to college and getting a degree, because they know lots and lots of theory, but that doesn't mean that they actually can do anything. Because they've just got all this theory that goes, oh, this is what should happen. But the problem is, it rarely happens the way the book says it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the thing. The book will say, oh, do X, Y, and Z. But a lot of the time, X, Y, and Z isn't going to work. Because for the same reason that I always say with Bungie, like, people go, oh, well, Bungie should have tested this, and I always push back on it, is because the books rely on things being static and straightforward and everybody behaving the same way. But the problem is, that's not always how it works. Like, as soon as you add real world and you add real people, it is going to work differently. And people are going to do things and you're going to be like, why did they do that? That makes no sense. Why? Because they can. It's one of those things. They can do it, so they did do it.
Yeah, well, that brings me around to my next set of questions. I mean, we're playing Destiny right now, so I might as well make some of the questions relevant. How long have you been playing Destiny?
Let's see. I've played D2 since beta, and I played Destiny 1 on and off since it was released, but I used to struggle to get into it, and I didn't really have anyone to play online with, so I played for about 2 years before Destiny came out, so I played it religiously as a main game, and spent the last year of it finishing everything off with some friends from work. I had a friend at work who played Destiny, didn't know anyone who did, really wanted to be able to multiplayer, and I was like, oh, I play it, but I don't really necessarily know what I'm doing. And after that, once that happened, I just got into it, and I've never really stopped. It's the main game I play over everything else.
Nice.
So,
yeah, and chat normally. Nice. Normally at this point, chat, I'd probably ask Six what he likes to do in Destiny, but most of the community here is familiar. Just a little shameless self-promotion. Six and I usually run, well, pretty much anything, but mostly mid-tier PvE content, helping people out with that. Dungeons and master level content, exotic missions, stuff like that. So, it's been a real pleasure, honestly, to have you by my side, Six, and to help out. And I've seen some of those skills that you're mentioning in play, in practice, like coming through in the way that you communicate with people while we're helping. It's been interesting because I haven't thought about it before where it came from, but as you're describing it, I'm like, oh yeah, okay, I could see that.
Yeah, it's I do it so much that it's second nature to do it, if you know what I mean. If he's still thingy, let's see if I can't hurry him along. But yeah, like I do in Destiny what I do in work. I help people because I love helping people. That's my favorite part of this game. Like I've said it before, that when other people are getting bored and we're still happy, it's because whenever we help somebody do something for the first time, we get to relive that moment. Because we can never redo the content for the first time, but we can help other people, and vicariously we live through that. And I like that. It's good fun.
Yeah,
and
same.
And it's there is a benefit to learning effective communication, and learning, because one of the things you kind of need to learn in IT support is you've got to learn to not take things to heart. You've got to just let it wash over you and move on, because people will be horrible to you because they'll have some business critical thing that if they don't get done, they're going to get into trouble and you're in their way. And they don't mean to be horrible to you. They don't mean to be nasty to you, but they've got a job and they've got stress and they've got a real life. And the last thing they need is a computer that doesn't want to work. And if you take that stuff to heart, you come home and you think, why do I even bother? So you've really just got to learn to go, do you know what? I'm going to step back from this. I'm going to look at the situation in hand clearly and just stick to the logic, stick to the, I know this, I know that, I know this will follow that, therefore. And it's kind of, it works in what we do. Helping somebody in what we do, when you're going ahead, I can still logically go to somebody, we need to get here, because I know what I'm doing. And it's, I can deal with somebody who's like, oh, I'm sorry, I'm so underpowered, you must think I'm useless. It's like, no, don't care. It makes no difference to me if you're underpowered. It makes no difference to me if you've never run it. I don't care if you're using the most unmeta build that's ever been created in Destiny. We'll get you through it. Because that's what, it's what we do. And by the end of it, you'll feel bigger and better for it, because we'll make sure we build you up.
See, we'll have to chat. We'll have to listen to see if Six accidentally uses any "you idiot" phrases. Like
I use "you idiot" statements all the time.
It's like, oh, you didn't equip the catalyst. Oh, you've never done this before.
So here's the thing. Now that I've told you about those statements, if you listen to yourself, you will go, "That's a you idiot statement." Oh, that's another you idiot statement. And you hear people do it all around you, and even though you know it's not meant like that, you understand the ridiculousness of that argument. The concept that it's a conscious decision to say you're an idiot.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, anybody can add that to any phrase that they want. It's always about trying to approach the person, right? So even if you say it in that way, acknowledge that they may interpret that way, so be ready to follow up with humility and grace, I guess.
Yeah.
Hey, Omega, how you doing?
For me, if you run the phone to me, at the end of that phone call, you shouldn't feel foolish or simple or like you've been an idiot. You should just feel like, yeah, I had a problem. It's not my job to fix it. It's his job to fix it. And I'm all right with it. And don't get me wrong, if I can show you how to fix something yourself so you don't need to ring me, I will show you how to do it.
Yeah.
Because empowering someone to do it themselves is one of the best things you can ever do.
Well, yeah, and I'm sure
in any... Sorry, yeah, go for it.
I was going to say, I'm sure there's a misconception that, like, if you show people how to do stuff, you'll be out of a job, but you're never going to be out of a job. Not with IT.
As long as Microsoft keep making Windows, I'm always going to be in a job. It's just that simple. Microsoft constantly make things that don't work with their own things. I am never ever going to be out of work, and that's just it's perfectly acceptable for me that's going to be the case. And I also work in a very that was a good shot. I work in a very paradoxical sort of industry. If you think about it, I spend my entire day fixing things for you to break it so that I can continue to fix it and have a job. Like in most things, you're creating something, and I am literally relying on the fact that it's not fixed properly and it's going to happen again.
Yeah, there's a scene from The Incredibles where Mr. Incredible's like, why can't the world stay saved, for 5 minutes?
It's, and I do sort of, people will go, when I'm talking to people on the phone and I mention it and it makes them laugh, when they stop and actually think about the silliness of it all, they're like, oh yeah, you do kind of, you need things to break, don't you? It's like, yeah. It's one of those things, it's an industry I love. If anything, I may be too passionate about it, but it's not necessarily a bad thing. But I want people to be able to do stuff in IT. I want you to be able to fix your own things. I don't want you to have to phone me for everything. Like, I like problems. If somebody rings me up and I have never seen that problem before, I am so happy. And I literally sit there and I'm like, yep, get in. And they're like, yeah, but it's broken. I say, yeah, no, that's cool. I haven't seen it before. It's like, I know this is terrible for you, but for me this is awesome because I love things. I love all the awkward calls, the weird things where it's like, that should never do that. Why is it doing that? That is not what it's supposed to do.
Yeah, I was gonna say that doesn't sound too reassuring for the client, but I can see how that would be fun.
Well, do you know what it is? I'll say it, and I think I say it with such enthusiasm and so much happiness that they're like, yeah, he's gonna fix this. He's not gonna stop until he's fixed it, or until he knows how it should be fixed.
Mm-hmm.
And that goes a long way. That drive to go, I will make this work for you, is, people find that important. It matters to them.
Mm-hmm.
So, again, it comes down to what I say. It's the way you say it. You can sit there and go, oh, I've never seen this before. This is going to be a tricky one. It's not good. Mm. And that instantly creates the image of, this is not good. Or you can have the lunatic that's me going, oh, this is awesome. I've never seen this before. It's amazing. I can't wait to fix this now.
Do that.
And people are like, and people do sort of, people are genuinely like, you're happy it's weird? It's like, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
There's only so many times you can reset a password before you're tired of resetting a password.
Mm-hmm.
But you give me a password that won't stay reset when it should do, then I'm going to be interested. It's that, like I'm sure you've got reports that you do, like they're your bog standard day to day, and it's lovely for you to then go, oh, this is a new report. This is something I haven't had to find out before.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. There's always a good balance of like, ooh, this is neat, and also, how the heck am I supposed to do this? Nobody does this.
Like everybody wants that. You always want the comfortable day to day. Like, yeah, this is my bread and butter. I don't need to think about it. I can just get this done. It's great. But at the same time, you kind of also want to be able to go, oh, this is awesome. I've never done this before.
Mm-hmm.
How else are you going to learn if you don't get the weird issues? You're never going to learn. Like a common IT problem is if you work off site and we reset your password, it throws stuff off.
Mm.
It can desync your account. It can desync everything. So you're constantly getting prompted for passwords. You've got to remember one password to get into your laptop, one password to get into everything else when you're on the network. It's really annoying. Or I can do it and make the computer think you've changed your password when you've never changed your password. It accomplishes the same thing, but you don't get any of the headaches. Like, it's that sort of. I got sick of all of the problems people were having every time I had to reset a password and they were off site. So I found a way to do it so that it doesn't break anything. It's one of those things, and like I've told everybody how to do it. People still don't do it. Mm. Don't know why. I think some people get stuck in their ways. But there's things like that. When you can do that for somebody, that makes somebody's life that little bit easier. It's awesome, man.
Yeah. No, definitely. So, again, related back to Destiny, right? I mean, Destiny's a pretty... I mean, any video game is a technological marvel, and anybody who thinks otherwise has never made a game. So I guess some general questions on that might be, as someone who's really versed in tech, especially making tech work, how do you do you have any like perspective or commentary on either Destiny as it works or as it's designed, or Bungie and how they communicate their tech?
Bungie's communication is sometimes lacking. I mean, they created the tech blog, but we barely get an update on it. And I think
you know why? It's because you guys hate writing stuff down.
Well, this is it. We don't like writing things out. This is part of the problem. We hate admin. But at the same time, that when they get a problem like with Ariana's Vow, one-shotting from across the map, a good tech report at the top level will at a very high level explain what happened, and then they'll go in depth. So for the people like me, the in-depth bit is the bit we're interested in. For non-techies, it's the top bit. But what that does is that explains to people the reason this happened is because A, B, and C should have done 1, 2, and 3, but actually they did 1, 5, and 7. And that caused the problem. And then people get a better understanding and go, all right, yeah, okay. Yeah, it's one of them things.
Now, before you go further on that, do you think Bungie holds back on purpose? Because they've talked about how they don't reveal anything about their security so that people don't mess with their security. Do you think there's anything in that? Like, I don't know, if people find out that Ariana's Vow is breaking because of some kind of like frame rate issue, then they realize, Bungie Destiny is sensitive to frame rate manipulation or something. I don't know. I'm speaking out my head
some
here.
stuff back because some stuff they're going to hold back either because it's proprietary and they don't want it out there, or for, like you said, some people will read a tech post of a game and use it to come up with a hack or a manipulation. But in some cases, it can be used. But I understand why Bungie brought in content vaulting. I know it's not a popular subject.
Here we go.
Sunsetting didn't work. Sunsetting was a bad idea. It was the content vaulting is Sunsetting 2.0. And the reality is, if they hadn't have done Sunsetting, probably wouldn't have had such a bad reception for content vaulting. But the Sunsetting gave such a negative experience for people that it was just assumed that content vaulting is just a more extreme version. But the reality is, Destiny is about 100 meg install on the Xbox.
Yeah, 100 gigs, yeah.
Right? So all these people sitting there going, we'll just put everything in the game, That 100 gig will probably, with everything that's in there, triple to quadruple in size. So most of the Xbox consoles only have a 500 gig drive. You factor in the 80-90 gig that it uses for the operating system, you can't play Destiny anymore because it won't fit on your console.
Yeah.
You're going to have to buy a bigger drive just to play the game. And then you're going to have to play a game that's got multiple platforms, multiple variations, multiple rule sets. What that means is Destiny Year 1 content that hasn't been upgraded to work with the new weapon systems is going to break something in a way that wasn't expected, make the game unusable. You're going to have so much stuff in game that load times are ridiculous. Imagine a level where they had to load everything in. So you've got to put in all of the stuff from the D1 stuff that was there, but also you've now got to look at, we've got all of the seasonal content that's got to factor into this particular mission. Imagine trying to run D1 missions with everything active from all of the seasons. It wouldn't know what to do with itself.
I mean, and something that I'm always particularly voicing and interested in is the not exactly the UI, but the player-led experience. So like how, we've talked about this a lot on the stream about about like how a new player might like how they would perceive Destiny and how they would get overwhelmed with so many things. So I think like even just on a not on a tech front, but on just a player reception front, if you hey Geddes, how you doing? If you were to put everything in the game, I mean, players would be completely confused as to what content goes where. I mean, I run into that problem in Destiny 1, where the map has every...
You wouldn't know what to do.
Yeah, well, every mission in Destiny 1 is on the map. But aside from a symbol that tells you what expansion it's from, and a number, which tells you, like a level, which tells you kind of where it should be, there's no indication as to what level goes in what order. I had to, like, look up specific missions so that I could do, like, a chronological playthrough. And so, like, it's one of those things where it's like, if Bungie wanted to do it, they could. Yeah. But they would need an... It's another thing, right? And I'm sure this comes up in IT quite a lot, where it's like, well, we fixed problem A, but that has created problems B, C, and D, which we accounted for B, but not C or D.
No amount of testing can prepare you for real world. It's that simple. Real world systems interacting with something you've built is unpredictable in ways that you cannot fathom. And one of the problems is Bungie do a lot of testing. Like, they test their stuff. People sit there and go, do they not test these things? Yeah, they do. But one of the problems with the testing is it's slightly biased, because they're told us that you get given a list of things to check for. You are testing for specific things, and then they'll give you a list that goes, right, well, we just need you to play through and find a problem. But you're still looking for... You will have already pre-formed a concept of what you're looking for. And that is what causes part of the problem, because what you're looking for isn't what somebody else is looking for. And you know yourself, speedrunners in this game are looking for every loophole they can find that lets them move as quickly as possible. Playtesters aren't playing the game that way. The playtester's going, if I use this exotic, can I jump from A to B, or can I jump from A to C like it's supposed to let me do? But a speedrunner's going to go, if I wear that exotic, can I jump from A to D? And then can I get from D to S? You know, like, you've never factored that in, because you can't plan that, because you haven't got 1,000 speedrunners testing your game. You haven't got 1,000 people that do what we do testing your game. You've got a group of testers and a limited test window. It's like, I get that people get frustrated, but look at the constraints of what it is you're asking for. It's like having 10 bakers and then going, right, well, we need 1,000 cakes, crack on. And it's like, well, yeah, they're going to do it, but the chances are by the time they've done the 1,000th cake, the first one's ruined.
Yeah.
Like, manpower versus output is a big issue, and in IT, it's a really relevant problem. Because how do you split your manpower, and how do you know what to look for? You either look for major problems or you look for little problems, and the problem is little problems take forever to find, and they're really difficult to replicate because they're a little problem.
Yeah, and I mean, we all know that the communication between the player community and Bungie isn't always great. Even when it's attempted to be great, it just isn't always great, and that causes a problem. Because, like, if all these PvP streamers are running into a problem, I mean, imagine a problem that these streamers are running into, and imagine they run into it, like, all the time. Like, every time they play Trials, they have this problem. And they tell Bungie, and Bungie's like, we can't replicate it, guys. I don't know what's going on. And then it turns out, oh, it's Twitch. Twitch is or it's OBS or something, you know? And the only reason that those
Well, yeah, and here's the other one, right? People will go, well, on my PC this isn't working. All right, okay. But you know how hard that is to replicate? Because the problem with that is they've got to build your exact machine, so that's the same build, the same drivers, the same hardware, the same setup. Everything has to be done the way you do it.
Yeah.
They haven't got time. It's a very difficult thing to replicate a real life problem on a test system because the test system isn't built the same as the person who's got a problem. For example, at work, we've had, on and off, I've had people telling me they can't connect to the guest Wi-Fi in the building we're in. I can't replicate the problem. Every time they bring me the laptop that they're telling me will not connect, I go on it, it instantly connects.
Mm-hmm.
Been going on for a couple of weeks, and in that situation, you usually put it down to it's user error. It's very nicely put, but it's you've typed something wrong or you've hit something wrong. Like, it's one of those things. We call it the curse of IT. It will not work for you in a second. We're there. It works perfectly. You've all seen this problem. Something doesn't work. You bring the guy out. The guy rocks up, and it works.
Yeah, only after you've had to pay him to show up, right?
Yeah. So it's that sort of a thing. But
Have you run... Oh, go ahead.
Problems been on and off. Now, the other day, yesterday, I had multiple people with this same problem, and it's the first time the building's had a lot of people back in after lockdown. And finally, because there were so many machines all at once doing it, what we realized is they can connect to the guest Wi-Fi as long as they're on the ground floor. Once you're connected, you can go anywhere in the building, but you can only connect on the ground floor. Where's my office? On the ground floor. It's that sort of a thing. This has been a problem and we don't know how long for, because I could never replicate the issue because my office is in the wrong place.
Right.
And it's and for Bungie, it's a similar thing. Like, somebody will go, I've got this problem, but if they haven't got the exact setup the same as you, they're going to have trouble making it work the same way. And you've also got to factor in play styles, which people don't think about in a game. How do you play the game? Because your play style could be part of the problem. Like, if you're trying to speed run and you're running certain weapon builds, that potentially breaks a game. You know, if you like to use a VPN all the time, that can potentially impact the game. Like, there's so many things, even on consoles. There's things that you could do. If you program hotkeys in a certain way, you can get an undesired effect. But you've programmed it in, and you can't expect Bungie to sit there and go, yeah, we've tested for that, it's all right, we know how to fix it. Because how are they going to know? It's like, and don't get me wrong, Bungie get things wrong, and sometimes they make glaring mistakes, and you think, well, yeah, you should have seen that. But if it comes back to, it's the same as what I've been saying for when people ring up with a problem. You ring it up going, every time I do Gambit, I shoot an enemy and I die, right? Okay. Now, you've explained your problem to them. You play Gambit, you shoot something, you die. But Bungie have to look at it like, right, what armor are you wearing? What weapon have you got? What exotics are you using? What mods have you got? What's your power level? Who else are you in the game with? Is it a private match? Is it a normal match? Like, they've got to factor in for everything. Is it an ornament? Is it the fact that you've got a particular thing that you've transmogged? Is that transmog skin throwing the game out somehow? From their point of view, your little problem is not little, it's huge. Because there's just so many variables to figure out. The more content that's in this game, the harder that process gets.
Yeah, and Viren's bringing up a point like that in the chat as well, that, you know, if they leave older content in, then it just increases the development cycle, and it's harder to test old content with new, like, you know, frameworks, environments, etc.
And that's the thing. It's about understanding the nature of what it is. And people are like, well, just add it in. What's the problem? And it's like, yeah, for you, it's just add it in and you can do your favorite thing. One of the other things people don't take into account, if Bungie added everything into this game, everyone's like, oh, if Bungie had everything back, I could play my favorite raid all the time, because there'll be everybody will want to play that raid. Everybody's not you, mate. Everybody else has a different raid that they like.
Well, they're wrong.
It might turn out that
they're just wrong.
You know what I mean? Like, it's that sort of a thing. Like, well, everyone will play my raid. I can do my raid all the time. Unless, of course, they don't like that raid. or they've got another favorite raid and they want to run that raid. And the other problem is everybody's doing this raid, so the load times are so heavy that no one's getting to play it because it can't troubleshoot. It can't hack you in, you know. And I get it. People don't necessarily understand the technology or how it works. But if you don't know, take the time to find out, because there's more to it than you think. And I'm afraid it falls into what I said earlier on. The customer is not always right. The customer just thinks they're always right. And in most customer service, the customer thinks they're right is usually wrong. It happens because mass media and commercialization want you to think that you're always right, because then you're going to go and buy the big new shiny thing, even though you don't need the big new shiny thing. But you're going to buy the big shiny thing because you know what you want and you're right. Like, my father-in-law recently got a computer that I went and bought for him because the last time he bought one, somebody who's not in IT says, "Oh, get an all-in-one unit." And I told him, don't, because they're terrible. You can't upgrade them. They're usually slow. They're not very great. What did he do? He listened to his friend. What did he do? Buy a machine that he couldn't use because it was terrible. So what's happened? He's had to buy a new machine a good 2 years before he should have. Only this time he's listened to me. And now he's got a machine that'll do him for 5 or 6 years before he even has to think about upgrading. But I didn't buy the shiny thing.
Yeah.
I bought the thing he needs, not the thing he wants, because what he wanted is irrelevant to what he needs. And it's kind of, no. It's kind of the same in Destiny. We all have that thing that we love and want to see back, but the reality is, it doesn't make us right. It just means that we want some content back. I'd love to get Wrath of the Machine back. We had fun running that raid. We were really, really good at running that raid. But I also understand why it had to go.
Yeah, I mean, like, that passion for one thing should not equal, dismissing something else, right?
Yeah. And
so,
Bungie have never once turned around and said that they're getting rid of this stuff. The whole point of the vault is so it can be brought back. That's why it's there. It's what they're doing is saying, look, there's so much stuff now in this game that we need to gear this thing around what's relevant for the current season. And while we're doing that, we're going to try and improve the stuff that we've took away so that when we bring it back, it's even better. That's not a bad thing. I know games that just go, yeah, no, that's not happening. We're just going to leave it like it is, and you'll just like it and lump it, and that's it. I'm always on Bungie's side when it comes to development of this game. Because I understand that while I can't do what they do, and I've done a little bit of programming, not at that level, anywhere near that level. I do understand the constraints and the concepts of why it's difficult to do what they do. And why I always try to say to people, take a step back and be constructive. Because constructive feedback makes changes.
Yeah, I was just about to ask you, like, what you might recommend.
If you've got a problem and you want to report it to Bungie, ideally what you need to do is you need to try and give as much information that's descriptive. And this is a skill that's somewhat difficult to learn because you don't know what's relevant to Bungie. You're not going to know what they're looking for, and that is part of the problem on one of those things. There's no way around it.
Right.
But you can sit there and go, it doesn't work, or I play Gambit and it doesn't work, or you can sit there and go, I play a Warlock, this is my build, every time I'm in Gambit, if I shoot this enemy, it kicks me out the game. It's only when I shoot this enemy, it's only on this map. That's a good enough level for Bungie to go, right, well, we can probably look and see what's going on with that, because we know what the build is, we know what they're doing. You don't have to go, this is all my armor, this is all my mods, but it's like, I'm a Warlock, I run stasis, I use this exotic, I use, you can broad overview it to such a degree that it at least gives them a chance. if you want to see them bring something in, and I've ranted from rave for transmog for, well, I think since as long as you've known me, KAZ. But I always used to sit there and say the same thing. I want a system where I can see what my armor looks like all at once, so I don't have to put a piece on and come out and then go, oh yeah, no, all right, now I've got to go back in, find another piece. And transmog lets you do that. You stick a piece on, you zoom out, you can see your character. You're not dropping out of the menu, you're just clicking the top button for the full overview. Like, and that was the thing. It's constructive enough to go, this is what I want, this is how I think you can achieve it. Can it be done? I want to be able to go in, I want to be able to change the shader on that glove and instantly see it when I zoom out and go, yeah, that works, no it doesn't. And since transmog came in, Dresden has become a thing. Because people love transmog, people like to go in and naff around. And now you don't just go, oh, do you know what, I'm just going to wear that because I'm sick and tired of going into it, coming out of this menu, look at my character, go back into the menu, got to go into that, and then I've got to click that, and then I've got, like, no, now I'm just going to transmog, click the top button.
Yeah, I think, like, you know, there's plenty of legitimate criticism to throw at any system. I think with transmog, there's roughly 3 components of transmog. There's how it works, how you earn it, and any kind of like limitation on that. And I think like any of the problems I've seen have been mostly in that regard, that like people don't seem to have a problem with like how it works. They just have a problem with like, you know, how much do I gotta grind to make it happen or whatever. But that's a different thing. So I guess I think I'm gonna bring the official conversation to a close. If you are watching this on YouTube and you want to learn more, I mean, there's a link down below. You'll be able to check out that you can come by the stream, catch it live if you want. Or we have a Discord as well, and you can come and ask. We have a whole bunch of tech people in our Discord as well who would, you know, usually love to jump in and answer your questions. So what we're going to do is I'm going to leave with 2 questions, and then I'm going to do the full outro. So one question is, we talked about how to be maybe a better, you know, customer or a better, how to describe your problems to Bungie. Same advice, I presume, for like PC problems. Like when a person calls into IT, how can we avoid being someone that you and your IT support buddies are gonna complain about at the next meeting or the next water cooler session? What can we do to avoid being the bad customer?
As frustrating as it sounds, ringing customer service and just going mental is not going to get you anywhere. Right? Usually the person you're speaking to has a preset thing that they can and can't do. So techies are going to ask you stupid questions, right? We do it all the time. We don't do it to insult you. We don't do it to take the mick. We don't do it because we don't care. We have to ask those stupid questions because we've got to rule stuff out. And before you can jump straight in and go, this is your problem, you've got to look at stuff and go, well, that's not your problem. And at least in the UK, there was a TV show called The IT Crowd. And it was based on an IT company that basically treated everybody like idiots. Just the absolute worst of the IT support industry, really. The worst attitudes, the worst behaviors, the worst stereotypes. It is a funny show. They get a new boss and they don't like her. And she's going to a meeting and she wants to do something, so they give her a box with a flashing red light on her and tell her it's the internet.
Yeah.
And the character playing the boss is playing somebody who's got no idea about IT, so she genuinely believes them because they've said, oh, it's, no, that's the internet, don't drop it. And she goes into a meeting with a cardboard box with a red flashing light with the word the internet written on it. Like, it's that sort of a cheesy show, but one of the things that they did in the show that made our lives a misery is I was like, have you turned it off and on again? Right? Everybody thinks that when we tell you, have you turned it off and on again, we're taking the mick. We're really not. And one of the best descriptions I've ever seen is imagine you leave your house, right? Your house is in a maze, and you need to go to the shop. Right? Now you know the route, but one day you get up and you take a wrong turn, and you get lost. What would be easier for you as a person? Would it be easier to wander around a giant city-sized maze in areas you no longer know where you are, trying to get to the shop and then get home? Or would it be easier to be able to press a button and immediately go back home and start again? Because when we ask you to switch it off and on again, that is basically what's going to happen. That is basically you switching it off and letting it restart. Windows is terrible because if something breaks and does something it's not supposed to, Windows doesn't just go, oh well, I'll just stop and start again. No operating system does. What it does is it tries to repeat the thing that just broke until it works.
So if I keep trying to run the program or whatever,
Yeah. If I keep running this command, eventually it's going to work because it's supposed to work. It's the classic, you know, it really is that classic of what's the definition of madness? Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting it to be different. Like, that is why we say turn it off and on again, because when you turn the computer off, it clears its memory of everything it was doing and starts again. So the first thing we always like, so when we ask you stupid questions, don't think we're doing it to be funny or that we're trying to be insulting. There's things that we're trying to eliminate, and the simple questions help us eliminate it. Have you turned it off and on again? Yeah, brilliant. What happened? Are you getting an error message? We're going to ask you leading questions, and if you've got a good and a half decent technician, we are going to try and lock your questions down. We are going to use closed statements because it gets us to where we are quicker. Just don't waffle. I know that sounds weird, but don't go, well, look, what I was doing is I was doing this email, and I did it yesterday, and it worked fine yesterday. When I was doing it yesterday, I didn't have a problem. I was able to send the email and the attachment, but now today when I try and send the attachment, it's not working, but I don't know why. And I had this problem 6 months ago, and it got fixed, but I don't know what they did. That means nothing to me. The only bit I cared about was I could send an email yesterday with an attachment, and it wasn't a problem, and I can't do it today. That to me is the only part of that entire conversation that I literally care about, or give a crap about in any way, because that's the problem. The rest of it is just secondary information that's blocking me getting you working. It's try and give, and it is difficult, but try and give constructive statements. So if something doesn't work, just tell us what didn't work and what you were doing when it didn't work. Because that's how we fix things quicker. Because that's the bit that's important. It's that I was trying to send an email, I had an attachment, it didn't work, but I did do this yesterday without a problem. Because then that tells me, right, something on the system has probably changed overnight. That's probably going to be X, Y, or Z. So I can look into that and get it done. And just don't. The technician should do this to you as much as you do it to them. And if the technician's not, to be honest, they're being idiots. But treat the person you're speaking to with the respect that you want to be treated with. Because you can't speak to me like crap and then be upset if I'm not willing to be as nice as I could be.
Yeah.
Because, you know, you're not showing me any courtesy. I'm just doing my job. I get you can't do your job, or you can't play your favorite game or whatever, but I'm just doing my job to the best of my ability. You know, would you want someone coming into your workplace and speaking to you that way? Because if you wouldn't, you probably shouldn't do it. And we do get some people that are just, they are like that. They think that they can talk to us like that because they pay for IT support, we're basically slaves, and we're not. We're people who work hard to be good at what we do. Just, you've got to respect that as much as you want us to respect you. You've got to respect us. Sorry, I'm looking at Dancing Viru. I'm trying to catch up, Viru. Sorry.
Oh, you're fine. It's just a lot of affirmation as to what we've been talking about. Yeah. Well, I think what we're gonna do then is I think we've had a good, I think we've had a great conversation here, and yeah, I think what we're gonna do is we'll probably we'll wrap up the official YouTube video content right now. So, if you're over on YouTube, feel free to check out the comments down below and feel free to look in the description. We have a link to our Discord and this Twitch channel. We're planning on having this content go live, well, streamed live every Wednesday at around 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock Eastern, 9 p.m. UK time. And if you're interested, if you have a passion about something, it could be anything really, like, oh, I know everything about Attack on Titan, or I'm really interested in poker, or whatever, feel free to jump into the Discord, and we can have a sign-up sheet, and we can see what works. Six, thank you so much for your time and for all of, patience and answering the questions and such. And chat, thank you for all your questions as well. We're going to wrap the video up here. Thank you all very much. Feel free to check out the next one. And as always, be safe, be kind, and we'll see you all next time.
Yeah, man.
Bye now.